Goodbye, 2023. Hello, 2024. A whole lot to look forward to, which I'll cover in a little bit. But first, let's take a quick look at a couple of recent events, mainly Syracuse and Buffalo. First, the Syracuse basketball team having a long layoff from their last non-conference game against Niagara to their first conference game, actually their second, but pretty much from here on out, it's all conference games. Plus, the bench definitely showed what it's capable of helping Coach Autry. A big win against our rivals from Pitt in the Dome. But now, as we start to really get into the meat of the ACC schedule, we gotta go down there. It's no longer Krzyzewskiville. It's probably known as someplace else. But Cameron Indoor Stadium is Cameron Indoor Stadium, if you know what I mean. It's got a legend all its own. And usually teams that go down there don't come out unscathed. Because Duke, that is a home court advantage if you ever see it. We gotta go down there to Cameron Indoor Stadium to play the Blue Devils, who still are a pretty elite team, always attracting elite talent. And even though Krzyzewski has been retired for a couple of years, they still are getting the recruits. But this one and done bull that seems to be going on, especially with Duke and with Kentucky, with now almost the dean of college coaches, if you can believe that about John Calipuk. This one and done philosophy, that's for the birds. Adrian Autry definitely was able to get Judah Mintz back, and he's paying dividends right now. Syracuse is back in the top 25 for the first time in a couple of years, and it's pretty good. It's kind of showing the job that Adrian Autry is doing. Big win against Pitt, but now it's Duke and the rest of the ACC that lay ahead. It's going to be an interesting couple of months as we start 2024 for Syracuse basketball. And how about the Bills? Yeah, ever since we were struggling, muddling along at 6-6, we've now won 4 straight. But this year, if we were making a wine or a champagne, that win against New England, vintage 2023, 2024, against teams that we should have, match up pretty well and should have a good battle, we usually blow them out. But against teams we should blow out, we start playing a muddling type of football. And you know what? A couple times it's cost us this year. It nearly could have cost us against the Patriots. Wouldn't have that been something? A downtrodden Patriots team almost acting like a Tom Brady team in this year against the Bills. And we forced New England to cough up the ball 4 times, and yet they still had a chance to win it. Something, I just don't know what it is with Josh Allen, Joe Brady, and that's a Brady I care about, because he seems to have a game plan that seems to work. But again, against teams like the Chargers, like the Patriots, we just muddle through. We can't muddle through this coming Sunday in the regular season finale against the Fish. This is for the division. And Baltimore smoked Miami. They smoked them. Anybody want smoked fish, anyone? But I digress. We gotta make sure Tua can't Tagovailoa. Supposedly he hurt his shoulder, but it looks as though it's nothing serious. We gotta worry about Allen though, because on that play, it looked like he dinged his shoulder a little bit of a stinger. But you know what you do, Allen, with those? You gotta take a pair of tweezers and pull it out. Eek! Ow! Yeah, those bees or those wasps hurt. But hey, we can't have that against the Fish, can we? This is for everything. This is for the division. Possibly a number 2 seed in the playoffs. If we lose, depending on the way other teams play, the scenario could be we could go from being the number 2 seed to possibly being out of the playoffs if we lose. Can't let that happen, guys. Of course, it's advantageous that it's at 8:30 at night on Sunday, so we know what the situation that we have to do. And that is, I think, a big advantage going against the Fish. I almost wanted to say the Dolphins, but you know what? I'm talking about them the way a Bills fan would, like I always have. Cooked fish, anyone? Smoked fish? Let's be ready. This is a big finish to the regular season, and hopefully the start of a little run in the playoffs. We got to watch out for Baltimore, though. They're playing at an MVP level. And of course, over in the NFC, it looks as though San Francisco is definitely the team to beat. People are starting to look. Could it be Baltimore and San Francisco playing for the Super Bowl? Not if Buffalo has something to say about it. Gonna be an interesting end of the season and an interesting postseason. Now, let's just say 2023, unique year in sports. And it was a unique year for Syracuse. The end of an era. Thankfully, the end of an era. Especially with Dino Babers. And you saw there in the Boca Raton Bowl, this whole thing that really irks me. The whole thing about the transfer portal, the opt-outs. The rules have changed so much the last few years. The transfer portal, players just opt out right when the season ends. They ought to change the dates on that. They got to make sure that, hey, you help this team to a bowl game, you should be playing in the bowl game. None of this transfer portal, none of this, opting out. Especially for ones that want to play in the pros. But you help this team get to this position. The rule is, to me, you should be playing in the bowl game. No exceptions. A lot of people are going to point to one of the tragic stories of playing in a bowl game when you had a good pro career probably happening. Tony Bowles. He was one of the great running backs for Michigan in the 80s. He plays in the Rose Bowl, really wrecks his knee. And Tony Bowles has had a really hard life. Yeah, people are going to point to that. But you know what? You helped your team get to this position, especially him helping them to the Rose Bowl. I think you ought to be playing in the bowl game. None of this opt-out bullshit. None of this transfer portal bullshit. They ought to open it after the bowl season, if you know what I mean. But I digress. Goodbye, Dino Babers. It was nice knowing you. And thankfully, we'll see your brand of football go, eh. Welcome, Fran Brown. Welcome his recruiting prowess. And especially, welcome back, Deuce Chestnut. You found that going down to LSU and playing for Coach Kelly wasn't a hill of beans. You're back where you belong, Mr. Chestnut. And also, because 2023 was a year of change on the hill, especially for basketball. Goodbye, Coach Boeheim. I'm not going to say bad words, but I think the last few years the basketball team was pretty much muddling through. I think the enthusiasm went out of you a few years ago, and you should have retired. And you see how SU's playing now under Coach Autry. We're back in the top 25. It's exciting. But hey, we can't forget what you did. You really helped put Syracuse basketball on the map. Enjoy your retirement. And you can see improvement with the lacrosse team, too. Gary Gate he started putting his own stamp on it, and yeah, we struggled. But now we're starting to get the recruits in to maybe put our lacrosse team back on top. And congratulations to Paulgate, whose number will be hanging with his brothers up in the rafters there of the dome. The two of them revolutionized lacrosse when they came to Syracuse in the 80s. I mean, you can't ignore what they've done. And I mean, what they've done for lacrosse equipment, too. Congratulations to both of them. Last but not least, high school basketball is definitely going to kick into high gear as we go into the new year. I had a little preview last week when I went to watch the Minders boys. They definitely are a team to watch, especially thumping South Seneca like they did. Plus also Jack Brady, he'll be something special when he comes up to the starters. He looked good. The Minders teams look good. The girls do too. The Waterloo girls, I mean, they're finding out what happens when you don't have depth. And I mean, you're a young team. Give him a couple of years, give him a little more depth. Mike Bree's going to have them back among the elite ones. But I mean, we're in the meat of the schedule now. It's time to find out who's got the medal. Well, goodbye 2023. Hello 2024. I'll be with you. See ya.